first day was a bit unsettling because everybody was now trying to figure out how to get things done.
Mm.
And the major drawback on the first day was internet
Right.
because at some point most people were using their personal hotspots and the internet was spotty. So it became a bit difficult. And I think starting up to was hard
Mm.
because we have a flexi working hour schedule. So we go between 6 to 11, then you do your 8 hours and you close.
Right.
So with the remote work, we had a static schedule. We were doing 8 to 5 strictly, and then break time was 12 to 1 strictly. So it meant if you were going to work at 11, you now have to wake up and be online because you have to check in at 8.
So there was no starting at 11 anymore.
No.
Oh
no.
dear.
Because what will happen if we still have that is you wake up at 11, I wake up at 8, and because we are not even in the same space, it will be hard to collaborate on some things.
Yeah.
So it was necessary that we institute that. And I think it's been good so far. After Wednesday, Thursday, we bought a lot of turbo nets for almost the whole team.
Yeah.
More than about 20 turbo nets for everybody.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, internet is the foundation on which everything is going to work. Without the internet, we really can't do any work. So yeah, that's how it's gone so far.
So what's it been like? You know, you wake up in the morning. Do you like take a shower and wear your business clothes and then sit at your desk? How does the day unfold at home?
Okay, I think for me the first few days, because I was still adjusting to the time, I woke up and I had to just go sit by my machine. So I woke up, I think I was literally still in my nightie, and I sat behind my machine and started working because we didn't have so many meetings that day. So I worked till about lunchtime. Then I went to take my shower. But yesterday and I think 2 days ago, I recognized last week that if I didn't try to separate some things, it would be hard for me because I have a small apartment. So my bedroom and where I'm working is not very different. But I still want to keep my life hot. I'm still working from home. So I decided to put my laptop away in a bag under my bed somewhere. So it means I've closed. So usually I wake up, I do my quiet time, I go shower, then I come and open the laptop and then sit behind it. That has been the schedule for the past 2 days. But the previous days, because I woke up late, almost time for start of work, I always sat behind the machine.
Is it more difficult to concentrate when you're working at home?
I think it's easier rather to concentrate, but that's probably because of my situation.
Right.
I don't have children, I don't have a husband. I have my sister with me, but she's usually quiet because we've done this several times. Where if I'm working, she knows to give me my space. If she's working, I know to give her space. But I think for me, it's been more productive because in the office, there are lots of distractions. We have an open office, so you'll be working, you're in the zone, creating something, somebody just comes to tap you, and by the 5-minute time the conversation is over, you are distracted. So for me, I think it's been much more productive and helpful. And if you're able to let whoever you're living with understand that I'm home, but it's not vacation, it's not a break, but I'm actually working. And if I don't do this work, we won't get the money to continue living life.
Exactly.
I think maybe they can understand and probably can get some good work done.
Okay. Now, have there been challenges? I know the answer is going to be yes, but talk us through some of the culture shocks that you experienced, you know, in this new way of working.
Well, talking from my experience, I think the first thing is getting your mind in tune with the work. Because just waking up from work, I know there's this preaching of work-life balance. That is very hard with remote work because you wake up and you are working. It's 5 o'clock and the vim to work came around 4 p.m. So it's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, and you are still caught up in work, and so it becomes a bit difficult to actually maintain that work-life balance. The other challenge also would be with working in the teams. Is much more difficult because you can't trash out things in person and cut out the contextual issues. Because I may have an idea in mind. If I'm talking to you, it's easier to see your reaction, your body language, and see if you're actually getting what I'm saying or you're just confused. Because if you're confused, it's to show on your face. But once you're talking over text across a platform, it's not easy for me to see that. So I'm recognizing that we've had to over communicate in
Yeah.
some cases. We've had to deal with having work that is not always the standard we want, but we have to push further. So it's almost like with remote work, you have to be psyched to do the work twice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2 times more the energy, 2 times more the effort
Yeah.
to be able to get all the quality you want. So those will be some of the major challenges from the personal end. But with the company is the figuring out the logistics,
Yeah.
figuring out if you can really trust your people to get the work done. Because performance is tricky sometimes. So it's difficult to know, okay, this guy has been slacking, but if I let him go remote, can he still continue working, or will he still slack? So I think those will be some of the challenges I can think of now. We've been doing this for just a week, so
right? It's still
it's still fresh.
Yeah, indeed, still virgin territory for you guys. But it's a great experience to hear how you have how it has unfolded for you. Now let's bring Manye into our conversation. Now Manye is a corporate woman with 2 children. She's on the phone lines now. Manye, good morning. Hello, can you hear us? Right. I think there's a problem there with that phone line. We'll see if we can clean it up. Now, one of you mentioned how the internet is the backbone of this. Have you had to do anything in terms of cyber security? Is there an aspect of the work you do which needed to be protected at all the different remote locations?
Yes. So because we are basically a digital company.
Yeah.
Most of our things are stored in the cloud, and we use the G Suite business platform.
Okay.
And that comes with some inbuilt security, which you have enabled.
Right.
Aside from that, the other server issues, we have the chief technical officer who caters for that. So they use cryptography and some of these things to ensure that it's always protected. I don't know the details of the security stuff, but at least I know that they have put things in place to ensure that it is protected. So not everybody has access to the admin portion of all the things we use.
Okay.
Because if every employee has access, that makes the threat more profound, and it will be easier for anybody to get into that employee's machine. And then I think the other thing we did too was to ensure that before we left, we used MacBooks mainly. So we had installed admin access for remote.
Okay.
Yeah, for remote access when there should be an issue or somebody should misplace their machines. I think those would be the things we have put in place for security. Yeah.
That's very helpful. I mean, there are lots of employers listening who are considering remote working, and these are some of the useful tips that they need. I think we've got Manye on the line now. Hello, good morning. There you are, Manye. It's very good to speak to you. You've got the kids today, no doubt, haven't you?
I've had them for the past 2 weeks, I guess.
Wow. And,
yes.
And
this is week 2, a week and a half,
goodness.
basically, because my kids go to an international school, and so you know, some of the international schools closed before the president.
That's
exactly.
True.
So I've had them for about a week and a half.
My word. Ready for therapy yet?
I need it. I think we all need it.
I feel your pain. All right, but we want to explore the concept of remote working. You've actually been doing it for a while, or is this your first time doing it as well?
Actually, okay, so I've been lucky somehow career-wise, in the sense that I've had jobs where I've been able to work, and so it's not new to, the concept is not necessarily new to me.
Right.
But, however, where I'm working now, it's a new concept to them. And so it's a bit challenging, It's been challenging in the sense that sometimes people are ready for phone conferences and other people are not, so you have to text people to say, okay, I'm going to call in whatever minutes, and then somebody's not ready or somebody, it's had its challenges.
So let's talk about the family side of it, because that's, I think, what you're bringing to our conversation right now. The fact that you, in addition to working, you have to be a parent at the same time. How are you pulling that off?
Okay, so it's been tough, but it's also been interesting because what I've realized is, okay, so I'll talk about what it's been tough in the sense that obviously we're all worried about this COVID-19, right? And so as parents, we all have our anxieties. But again, as parents, you cannot show your anxiety to your kids because they feed off your energy. Okay?
Yeah.
And so you're trying to manage your own anxieties and manage their own anxieties. And then you're trying to manage working, So and obviously it's a tech world. So the kids have their gadgets. And so they will see something and they will come and tell you, oh, I just saw this. And does it mean that's that? So then you're having to manage their emotions. Meanwhile, you're probably feeling the same kind of fears that they're feeling, but you have and say, oh, no, it doesn't. This is not the zombie apocalypse. No, it's not. It's not the end of the world. We are not about to die and fight of zombies, and So it's had its downs, but on the upside, I feel as if it's giving us a chance to be closer, as a family, because I'm having to realize that, oh, actually I can get the kids are growing up. They're doing stuff that they wouldn't usually do. They're helping around because I'm here now. And as I keep saying, look, we can't go out and get anybody because anybody else could bring it.
Yeah.
So we're basically on lockdown. So you're going to have to help with chores and all of those things. So that's the upside for me. The other challenge has been, everybody's talking about homeschooling.
Oh, yes.
Yes, everybody's talking about homeschooling. And I've had to make a decision. It's been a tough one. I had to decide whether I wanted to homeschool, actually do what the curriculum requires and all of that, or just wait for schools to reopen and send them back to school. So that's been it. And I have decided to wait for school. So I will teach them the things that they probably wouldn't learn in school. Because I realized that, look, as parents, we take on a lot. And in these times, I do not think that we need to stress ourselves as much. Okay, so let's leave the teachers to do what the teachers will do, and let's do what parents will do. That's the decision that I have come to in my house.
Fascinating. Now, there are several videos going viral of parents who are swearing, fealty to teachers after they've had to experience what teachers go through, with their kids. Did you have that moment?
Oh, yes. And that was the deciding moment for me when I decided that, no, this teaching is not for me. It's not for me. I think that what you'd come to learn is that so as a parent, your teachers will say, your kids' teachers will say things to you about your kids, and you think they're lying. Oh, this teacher doesn't like my child, or my child is never like that. What we don't realize is that the children actually have different personas. They have the persona that they have at home and the persona that they have in school. Okay, so some way, somehow, this time is bringing all of those personas together in this one space. So you're realizing that that teacher was not lying after all. My child can decide to study when he wants to study or when she wants to study, and she can decide she wants to be, decide to not study and just troublesome. So yes, absolutely. Look, I doff my hat to teachers. I completely doff my hat to teachers right now. I miss my children's teachers. I tell you no lie.
I believe you. Okay, so let's talk about some of the practicalities. Okay, you've done this a few times before. So we were just asking Enam what her routine is. I'm curious about yours. Do you wake up in the morning, wear a business suit and get to work, or do you tend to do most of your work, casually dressed with, a child hanging from each arm?
Okay. So it's a balance. I wake up and, like I said, we don't have help, so I'll wake up and clean early. So I'm actually waking up earlier than usual.
Wow.
So I'll wake up and clean, yes. And then when it comes to wearing business suits and all of that for work meetings, work conversations, I've tried as much as possible to avoid video meetings.
Okay.
So I'm keeping it. I've set up like a little space where I'm calling the office. It's basically the dining table where my laptop is set up, and so and that gives me like the concept of your working.
Okay.
Right. And the thing is, I guess I'm lucky in the sense that my kids are understanding. And so I don't think that I will have any moments where they will run into conversations, or actually when they do and they come in with something and I'm on the phone, all I need to do is give them the sign that I'm on the phone, you know, and they know that that's probably work, and then they will give me the space. However, I do have friends whose kids are not the same. And so it's a completely different routine for them. So anyway, like I said, I will set up the office, I will sit, but it's lax because then when they wake up, then I have to leave to go and make breakfast, and then I have to come back to work, and then somebody will probably come and say I need a snack, then I have to get up and, you know, so it's been lax. It's been lax, yes, but I think with time, we'll find a good routine, you know, something that works, yes. And then obviously you have to keep going to check on them to see if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. If, for instance, if they're having screen time, you're checking on over their shoulders to check that they're watching appropriate stuff, you know. So I'm actually having to balance all of this stuff. Whereas usually from a certain time to a certain time, they'd be in the classroom and I would be in the office. You know, I'd have somebody else looking over them. But now I have to do both.
Wow, what an experience. Goodness, it's almost like you've been given a second job.
Oh, yes, it is absolutely a second job. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with perks or pay.
Oh, well, they'll give you a hug every now and then. Those are your perks.
Oh, yes. That works.
Pay, dear, your reward is in heaven. All right, now we're also joined by Fesu Antonia. She's on the phones as well. She's a partner, an experienced lead for online shop egaso.com. I've got to ask you, is your first name Fesu or Antonia?
My family name is Fesu, and then my first name is Antonia.
Antonia, so I can call you Antonia.
Yes. Sure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Now, you actually run a business, and you do this from home, right?
Yes. We run an online shop, and I do this from home.
Right. Then I guess my first question is this. Can every business in these COVID-19 days, can every business set up to do remote working?
Yes, depending on the department, because businesses that have to do work concerning hardware, for example, the mechanics, obviously you can't do that remotely because you'd have to bring in the car.
Yeah. So basically, as long as there isn't hardware involved in what you do, you can work remotely.
That's correct.
That's fascinating and also reassuring in case it becomes necessary. But is it easy to set up? We've heard Enam's experience. I mean, it took one person choking on their coffee, and 3 hours later they were remote working. Is it easy?
It should be easy, especially if you have an IT background. I did information studies in Legon, and I was working with the ICT, so I picked up a lot of experiences over there prior to starting this small business, which is actually aiding me now. So it's actually easy, and then the softwares that we use are not the everyday techie kind of software that will require you to know programming or something like that.
I see.
So it's easy.
Now, is it expensive?
It's actually cheap.
Compared to working from an office space?
Compared to, working with a brick and mortar, working within an office space, because then again, you have to pay for lights, rent, and all those other components.
There must be a downside, though. So far, it sounds like, it's ticking all boxes. Everything is perfect, but there must be a downside. What's the trade-off? What do you lose out because you work from home?
The downside is the work-life balance, which can be quite difficult. For me, I live with my parents, so once I'm with my parents, there are responsibilities that I have towards them, and balancing that with work can be quite tricky. And then you also have the software bit, which is your internet. If your internet goes down, then it means that you are off for the whole day. And then you have ECG. If there's lights out and you're using laptops, then it means the whole day of productivity is gone. So these are the other downsides to it.
Fascinating. So, in these times, these COVID-19 times, do you have to sometimes go out, like for meetings or whatever? Is that part of what you have to do, or are you able to operate entirely from home?
So I don't need to step out because of video conferencing. And I think Google has a lot of apps that help with video conferencing.
Right.
We also have Skype. Yeah, we have the other apps that help with video conferencing, which makes it easy. Even WhatsApp. WhatsApp has video conferencing enabled. So with that, we are able to set up our meetings and then deliberate for the day before we start taking up our task.
All right, that's wonderful. Stay with us, both of you, Manya and Antonia. Let's come back into the studio where Enam Agbozo is with us. She's a digital marketing strategist with Code Hub. And just a week ago, she and her team went remote. And so far, so good. Now, let me ask you too, the same question about whether you sometimes have to go out and come back, and whether that's a concern for you. You live with your sister, right?
Yeah.
Do you worry that perhaps, today you're out, you're here in the studio, you have to go back. Does the COVID-19 thing, weigh heavily on your mind as you're going about your day?
I don't let it bother me that much. Something happened Saturday. I went out to the salon, and I recognized that life was still going on. Like people were still going about their day-to-day business and stuff. So I realized that if you want to let fear limit you, you won't be able to do anything. My sister has been home for just a day, and she was crying yesterday that she was bored because she's doing national service. And I think they're on break for a month,
right?
And she's already bored, and it's just been one day. So I'm thinking that if we are going to be too worried about COVID-19, we may end up with some depression and other mental issues and stuff like that. So I don't let it weigh down on me too much.
All right. Yeah. Now, how about your colleagues? I mean, you guys talk, right?
Yes.
Are some people getting a bit of cabin fever, going a bit stir crazy?
I don't think so yet. It's still early days.
Right.
But everybody seems to be doing all right. Some people play the organ during their break. Others walk around in their house. I personally take a walk just to get a bit of the sun. Maybe I go buy some yogurt. The moment I hear pim, 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 I just go out to get some yogurt. And it helps with the isolation and the boredom part because we have been used to working with human beings and interacting with them on a daily basis. And that's something for your personal longing for interaction with others. So if you are stuck in one place by yourself, it's good to just step out of your door sometimes, say hello to a neighbor, and just come back in.
Wonderful. Manya, are you still with us?
I am.
Great. Now, you've been doing this for a while, but from all indications, social distancing is not a temporary thing. It's more of a long-term thing at the moment. Do you see the world of work changing? Do you see the future to involve more remote working?
It should. I mean, here in Ghana, it's been difficult to foresee it, but now we're seeing that it can happen. But I feel like it should. It should because in terms of even cost cutting, you realize that too many people go into offices and really don't do much. And the stuff that they go and do is stuff that they can do from home or from wherever else, So it should. I see that it's a thing that we should actually consider. It's a thing that we should actually consider.
Well, now, Antonia, you deal with customers, but you do this remotely. There are some who run businesses which, well, to be honest, they can't imagine dealing with customers remotely. Tailors, barbers, restaurant owners, and so forth. Do you think there is some way in which remote working can be a reality for anyone? I mean, you've already talked about the fact that hardware is a limiter, but service providers, can there be a future where there are more services provided remotely?
Yes, there is that possibility because even with the barbers, sometimes there may be issues. Maybe somebody has had a haircut and then developed some bumps or something like that, and is trying to find out from the barber what to do. It's a matter of doing it's a matter of doing video conferencing, because with the video conferencing, then the barber gets to see exactly what is happening to the person, and then probably can recommend what the person should do. Oh, use this cream or that cream. So there's still that possibility of infusing remote working in every aspect of any business, regardless the industry.
Yeah, well, the way you describe the future, I feel like we all need to organize some, seminars and have the three of you come and teach Ghana how to work remotely. I
also want to add something small. I used to work with a transporter, those who bring in the oil and gas.
Oh yes.
And we have a way of managing the drivers. Back then, we used to use something we call the taco key, which is installed in every of the trucks. So when the trucks are moving, you can actually see from the office whether they make a stopover, how many minutes they spend, because there are certain things they are not supposed to be doing because they are carrying fuel. So yeah, there's that bit that also works with the remote.
Okay, you know what? This is how we're going to end. Each of you is going to give us one tip, and that was a great one from you, Antonia. So let's get one tip from each of you on how to effectively work remotely. I'll start with you, Enam.
All right, what I would say is that remote is possible for every business, but you have to think of it as setting up a new business, literally, because then you are setting up a remote business. So you should be ready to bear the cost of setting up a business. It will be good to have a retrospective as a business to determine which aspects of your business, if not all, can go remote. Yeah.
This is great. Manye, I'll let you wrap it up.
Right. From the family angle, I say that even though you're working remotely, you need to consider work-life balance and know that working hours are from a certain time to a certain time, and so stick to that. And when it's closing time, learn to close. And learn to close when it's closing time, even though you're working from home, and learn to keep your work-life balance properly.
Enam, Manye, Antonia, thank you all so much for enlightening us. We appreciate it.
Thank you too.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure was all mine. It's 9:31, and I have a surprise for you guys, all right? Just to say thank you for staying with us all morning. It's been so lovely, so special. I feel so uplifted, so I want to give you a little something in return. Stay where you are. All shall be revealed after these.
What would you do